Hello, hello. I am Dory Joe Stoll with Prairie Scraps. And today, let me get up here in both places. Just a minute. Hello. I am Dory Joe Stoll with Prairie Scraps, and I am on YouTube and Facebook today. And I am in the mood for making pumpkins and candy corns. That is what I am in the mood for. So we are starting with the candy corn. Let the candy corn making commence, right? So last year, if you've been watching me a little bit, last year I did make a couple of candy corns, and I actually think I just packed them away. I don't even think I did anything with them. So shame on me. But this year, oh, I've got a couple extra tags sitting out here. I don't know. Don't ask me. Um, so I have this, I just like Google searched some, actually probably Pinterest, some candy corn outlines, and I think I ended up with like a coloring page outline and found that these two were the best size. This one is, let's see, about a little over 8 inches tall, and then the other one is about 5 inches tall. So those are my two patterns, and how I made them last year was I made them out of burlap, and I think they turned out really super cute. So I'm starting to feel the call for them. So I thought today we will go ahead and make some candy corns. This pattern actually came. Hello, Steve. Good to see you. This pattern actually came with two of these little ones, and last year I did one big one and two little ones, and then decided it wasn't good. I decided I liked the bigger ones better, so I'm going to do a few big ones this year and see how it goes. So I like to use these let's see, get it down here. Technically, when you're doing like pattern cutouts, you should really, if you're doing all things sewing, you could sew these. I'm going to be doing the no sew version today, because it's easier than pulling out the machine. But if you were being all technical and everything, you should really like pin these down so that you can cut them. I'm using burlap. I like the burlap with these in particular. I like burlap, all burlap things. I'm just not going to lie about that. Burlap is a cool thing. Just like the look of it. It's kind of rustic, kind of primitive looking, and so it's okay. But burlap is very messy. It's going to, give you all kinds of little pieces. So these little pieces, don't get rid of them, because we will actually use them as stuffing because I'm making little stuffies. So that's my plan. So I will start out with just cutting these out, and if I remember right, I think I can go upside down for the next one, kind of get a good angle on it. Use that one angle we had. Maybe pull it down a little bit. There we go. The less you have to cut, the better. I'm kind of a lazy crafter that way. So here, let me get you down a little bit so you can see my whole workspace. But we have a beautiful, beautiful, I would say kind of fall day. It's not really, it's feeling a little more like summer right now. It's not hot, but it is beautiful weather in Idaho. Sun is out. I don't know what the temperature is at all. But I am over here on YouTube live. I don't do a ton of editing. A couple reasons why. Not because I couldn't, but because it takes up so much memory space to do. So I don't have that much memory. I'm always running out of memory, literally and figuratively. So this is actually a sack that I got from our local, what do you call it? I want to say feed mill, but it's where, I just had it the other day. Anyway, one of the co-ops where they package up all the wheat that comes in. It'll come to me someday. I'm sorry if I'm kind of scattered today and a little lethargic, I guess you would say. I got my iron tested the other day and my iron is really low. I don't understand it. They say my iron is low, but I'm not anemic. I don't know what that means. Usually, in fact, when my iron goes low, it goes so low that I'm really in the area of needing a transfusion, but I think because I'm in such a small area, they can't find the transfusion. So anyway, I'm feeling dragged out today. That I can definitely tell my iron is low. I'm doing all the things. I'm taking the iron. I'm even taking beef, liver pills, not beef liver. Don't catch me doing that. I am not a liver person. Do you guys like liver? Just curious. Liver is, I can't even swallow the thought. I was getting into that seam there. It was getting kind of thick. All right, so we've got 3 cut out here. This is kind of a messy craft, but it's kind of fun because you could be pretty sloppy and it's all right. I know this is gonna be really thick on this corner here. I'm just gonna cut out here. So the girls had soccer game last night away, and I don't know. They said that the bus was planning on under 3 hours to get there, and I was pretty sure it's more like a 4-hour drive. And sure enough, the bus was over an hour late. So I don't know who was figuring out the bus trip this weekend or yesterday, but anyway, so then I think their game started late. The girls' game started late, and then they had to stay for the boys' game. Needless to say, they didn't get home until midnight last night. That is so late. I'm getting so old. Hi, Barb. Good to see you. I know, I cannot do liver. I'm assuming your nope is for the liver. Ugh. I actually bought some because we're trying hard to heal our guts. That's our goal right now, is to heal our guts. I'm gonna stick these over here because I'm gonna lose them there. And one of the things that does, is all the parts, right? Like the cartilage and all that you're supposed to get into your system. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. This might be enough for now. We'll see. And we'll do a couple of these little ones maybe. Getting ready to do a fall festival, so I'm kind of excited about that. Can I do? I'll kind of take it sideways here because I feel like I can probably still get some of those big ones out of there, and I really do think the big ones are going to be I like the bigger ones better. They're a bigger impact. I can imagine what I would price them for. I'm getting ready for a fall festival in October, so I'm trying to make some fall things. I love to make fall things. Don't get me wrong. I love making all the pumpkins. I love making all the things. But I don't usually do a fall one because there hasn't been one. Last year, this fall festival started, but I was out of town. I can't remember what I was doing, but I couldn't do it. So now I'm kind of like, I don't have anything in my stash that's done that's fall. So kind of looking at everything, seeing what I can get made up. But I know I love these. I had these last year. On the same theme, I tried to make some, what do you call them? Gingerbread. Sorry. I feel very not with it today. Gingerbread men out of the burlap because I thought it would be like the perfect medium for it. And I made one and I actually sold one because somebody really likes gingerbread, but it wasn't my favorite. So when I make things, I'll make multiples of them, only to some extent. I try to make more one-of-a-kind things, but then if it doesn't turn out how I like, which not everything does, then I definitely don't make them again. Just the way I am. I think I have a short attention span. And so I think that's what keeps me just doing different projects all the time, because I don't really stick with one. I really think I think it's amazing when people can do just the same craft over and over and over and over again, but it's not me. I'm like, okay, next thing. Okay, next thing. Like I said, I think I have a little bit of a attention span issue. Okay, so we got lots of little pieces here. I guess I didn't account for that. I'm going to set this. I was hoping to use that for painting, but I guess I won't today because it's got all the fuzz, and I'm covered now. Kind of told you this is going to be a messy job. All right. And I kind of want to keep those handy. What we're going to do is we're going to paint this burlap. So now that I've got these cut out, I might still need that. If I remember right, these take a little bit to dry. And so I might need a couple pieces of cardboard. It was hot in here in the Airstream today. Okay, so I had to look it up. I don't know if you guys knew this. I always think the orange is on the bottom, but the orange is not. It's yellow, then orange, then white when you look at the candy. The candy corns. Do you guys like candy corn? I love candy corn, unlike liver. I especially like the ones with the chocolate on the bottom, but they're harder to find. So I have saffron today and rust, and then I'm just doing bright white because remember, I think the vanilla would be a better color to use with this, but I think I'm almost out of my vanilla, so we're saving it. I'm being stingy with it. So I'm just going to start out, and I'm going to freehand these because sort of freehand them. I'm just going to, and I think I want to do both sides. I think last year maybe I only did one side, but I'm going to, because I want to sell these, I think I'm going to do both sides. So we said yellow on the bottom. It seems to me like it should be orange, yellow, and then white, but it's the other way around. Also, the chocolate ones are brown, orange, and white. Ooh, that looks like orange. I'm just getting my brush wet, so it's a little more pliable, but I think, I don't know, I might have to, I don't know if I can't remember. This has been a while, so bear with me while we're trying to decide. So I'm just going to roughly paint, paint this bottom portion, and I'm just going to draw a line and paint, and it's okay. You could do this if you're doing this yourself. You could do it lightly, you could do it dark, you could do it whatever. And I'm just using our chalk paste to do this because it doesn't there's really no right or wrong way. That's the cool thing about it, is that there's just not a right or wrong way. So I'm going to do all three of these, I think, right away. Well, this I do remember this. This does get messy. At least it's a nice warm day, so it will, let's see. Kind of want it to match across. If I use this on the back, I want it to match across the back. So hopefully these will dry up. But what the idea is, I'm going to paint these first, and then once they are dry, I will go ahead and hot glue them together around the edges, and then leaving an opening for myself. And then we'll stuff it. And I do have a little bit different way of stuffing them. I do use polyfill, but I also usually do the bottoms, at least a portion of it, with old Walmart bags. That's my tip of the day. That's my tip of the day. Use Walmart bags as stuffing because they are cheap. Well, unless you live in Washington, they don't give you them anymore, which is crazy, I think. Oops. I just stuck my arm in the yellow, I can tell. Look, it kind of looks like mustard, but I like this color. It's really pretty. And this doesn't have to be exact. It is a little messy. I'm not gonna lie, because it does go through burlap, and the burlap does get more stiff when you paint it. Do you guys like candy corns? Or do you hate them? I think you either love or hate them. Nobody's in between on candy corns. That's my prediction. That's what I think. I do remember last time I tried to do a really light wash of the yellow, and I ended up having to really fill it in. So this is, if you're concerned about it being permanent, you could use ink and then iron them, but this is a decorative item. You're not going to, thanks. You're not going to be like needing it later. I'll just set that there with the brush. And then we'll move on to the orange and a different brush because we don't want to mix our colors. So this one is Rust. I don't even know if it's still available. I always put my water, when I do water coloring or painting of any sort, I always put it in the lid. And then it's okay. I tip it back into the paste, and that just keeps it moist on the top. Hopefully, as they get lower and lower on. There we go. Definitely the color I'm looking for. You could do a complete dry brush, or you could really saturate this. I want these to be sort of rustic, primitive looking. Definitely got some fuzz on my burlap. But I want it to show up, and I want you to look at it and go, yes, that's a candy corn. And usually when you first start out, these brushes, the brushes do seem like they pick up a lot of the water. So I am not light with the... And I don't know, I like it looking rustic, primitive, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you want it to look perfect, you could do a little more solid painting on it, or less, more of a wash. Little pieces of that burlap are still hanging out here. And two, you want to kind of work with it a little bit to make sure it's not all, like you could tell I started brushing right there. So, move it around a little bit. You can also come in with a little bit of brown around the edges and kind of antique it, so to speak, as well. And that makes it look nice. This one's not cooperating as much. Let's put you down here. There you go. Grab some of that water. Also, I like to, when I do any sort of watercoloring, I like to grab from the lid, because you can see, like, when you tip it, you've got all this like little pieces and stuff, and that when you're brushing things on or watercoloring, it just picks it up and works really nicely to fill in things without even, you use very little paste a lot of times, even though it might look like you are using them. Okay, I think the orange is good on these three, and this is going to have to go in stages to get enough to, to get them all done. You guys will get the idea. We'll see how long we sit and do this. I appreciate y'all coming here and checking it out. Hi, Vicki. Good to see you. We're making some rustic / primitive. What do you think is the difference between rustic and primitive? Is there a difference? To me, it seems sort of the same. All right. I like to get the bristles wet before I dip it into the paint. And I am using bright white. I may come back with a little bit of brown on it, or we'll see. Or I may leave it a little bit less so, or water it down more even. That's the other thing you can do, is water it down a little bit more. I'm trying to leave it not be like super uniform. I want it to look, I didn't even come through and iron this. I could, if I had my little iron in here. I don't know. I like fall decor. Fall decorating is probably one of my favorite. Oh, the rustic. See, I don't know. The rustic and it's rustic and primitive seems like the same thing to me. I like both, but I don't know the difference between either one. I'm sticking here to trying to get over to the live chat here and make sure if you're on, make sure that you do all the things. Say hello. Give me little hearts. Yay, I did it. That was fun. I am a little, like, maybe a little loopy today. You might say I'm not feeling great because my iron is really low. So I apologize if I ramble on or seem a little loopy, I guess. I was like, nap, craft, nap, craft. And I'm like, I'm just going to go craft. I'm just going to let it go. A lot of times I do have like a text reminder list. I try to let you know at least once a week when I'm going live. Oh, I do remember this, that as the white actually dries, it goes more clear because I've added the water. So I do remember having to do this the last time and having to go back over it and repaint it. So that I did have. So you can go heavy on the white and it's going to kind of recess into the burlap. So don't worry about going too hard on the white. And like I said, that vanilla color would be amazing, but I just do not. I want to use it all up on burlap. Generally, like I love making things with burlap, but sometimes it does take a little extra work to work with it. You either have to like, actually, if you paint it, it seals it. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. You are my rustic gal, and I like to copy rustic projects from. But if you paint the burlap like I'm painting, it actually seals the edges from like coming apart. So once it dries, it just gives it a seal, which is super nice. But you do end up like with a lot of these like strings coming off on the edges wherever you cut. The other thing you can do is sew the edges, which if you sewed this shut, that would be good. But sewing burlap is also very difficult because it's a little unruly to work with. It's not always the best. I have like hair blowing in my face today, so it's like I think I'm going to go darker on the orange. Do you see how it's kind of lightening up here? I'm going to go a little darker. I want it to really pop out. Give it a whirl here and see if I can get a little bit more orange. It's looking a little, as it's drying, it's looking just a little bit not as bright as I would like. But, and it's really just to your own taste. So, all right. I think they're cute. Cute, cute, cute. I think, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I have to say it. And I know I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And so in that, sometimes primitive rustic things are hard for me to make. Are you guys perfectionists or do you just let it go? Are you good at letting it go? All right, I'm just getting my hands clean here. I'm going to set this aside so it starts to dry. And there's going to be a couple of different parts to this. So I may or may not entirely finish this up today. Another piece of cardboard. I keep all the cardboard pieces from all the things that I get, like my surfaces and things. And so that is helpful. I use those for painting on. They work pretty slick for that. All right, here we go again. I know. I am a perfectionist too. So sometimes trying to do things rustic is very hard, or trying to do things like patterns random is super hard. But I like the look of rustic. So I always like dream about it and I look it up and I will, obsess about it for hours and hours and hours, honestly, because I want it to look just right in the rustic realm. It's kind of a dumb, maybe it's an illness. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, if you're trying to do things random, I am finding that it is very hard to do things random. I should try to get around the edges here. That would be smart, wouldn't it? Get my brush nice and wet and try to get some of these edges that are sticking up here. See if we can get them. And if you water your paste down too much, it's okay. You can always add more. If you go too dark on here with your paste, if you don't, if you think you went too far, that's okay too. Just spritz it a little bit, and it's water soluble, it's washable, it's not harmful. Even kids could do this activity. So much fun. I have a girlfriend of mine that's bringing her granddaughters over to make some t-shirts, and we did some in the spring for Easter, and they just love them. So she wants to do some pumpkins or something, some fall ones for them as a fun little activity to do together. And I'm like, it is so much fun because kids really can do this safely. They were pretty young too, like 4 and 6, maybe even younger, maybe under the age. So you can really these feed sacks, I bought them at our local, what are they called? Where the big grain mills or whatever, where they store the grains. They were selling them one time, and I haven't seen them sell it since. So it was like a one-time thing, and they were selling them for 10 cents a piece. So I picked up, I think I did 200 of them. My husband thought I was insane, but I have done so many things. I don't know if you know this, but the grain sacks that they use to pack up grain in, just the plain ones, they're the same size as a folding chair back. So we used them for graduation covers we had a boys' graduation for homeschool the first year that I had a homeschooler, and they worked slick. We did 200 chairs. We just folded them in half and put them over the back so it looked sort of rustic, and that was it. If you were doing, a wedding, you could use them on the chair backs also for that. And you know what? 10 cents a piece. It cost me $20 for 200 of them. And I have gotten lots of years of use. I think that was 8 years ago. I have gotten a lot of years of use. I have made table runners. I have made pumpkins. I have made everything with them. So they really have. I wish my husband would admit I wasn't wrong about buying those, because I saw them online for sale locally, and he was like, "What are you gonna do with all of those?" I'm like, "I'm making things." So I've had this burlap, and I just keep cutting it up whenever I have I always look for burlap projects, but I think the best one I love is this one with the candy corn. That so far, I think that has been one of my favorites. Besides, I did make some table runners, like table centerpieces with them, but these are very rustic. They don't have the nice words on them or anything like that. So they are extremely rustic in that manner. All right. Go on to the orange. Put some more water on. The brush does dry up a little between these. I'm like a little elf here, just making candy corn elf. But I'm trying to use up trying to get into the side stuff that doesn't get used very much and kind of use that up. Get some water in that. Like I said, this is really, if you want it darker, put less water into it. Kind of being rough on my brush here. If you want it to be lighter, you could just do, more like a wash, add more water to it. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. And a little bit, you just kind of look at it and go, oh, I was thinking a little bit more color there. It does go through, so you want something underneath it just because for the mess cleanup. So that's why I have these cardboards saved. I am a saver of all things. I always think I can make that into something. You guys that way? I just put some in there, I think. Trying to get like in the nooks and crannies around the edges, get some of that out. Use it all up. No waste. Nothing left behind. And even if your paste if you ever experience your paste drying up completely, you can add water, let it sit overnight, stir it up a little, add more water until it gets to be the consistency that you need. You want it to be, when you're doing it on the transfers, you want your paste to be the consistency of yogurt. So they definitely, especially when you got it down to this much, it starts to like get a little crusty because the air in the jar. And if you're like me, you've got probably too many jars of paste, so they start to dry up a little. I love, if you're not like a frequent crafter, if you're just a once in a while crafter, I highly suggest using getting and using singles packets, because even those you can close them up and keep them for a while after you open them, as long as you let it dry. So I'm getting smarter. I'm starting in the middle instead of starting out at the edge, so it doesn't look like I just painted it. Right? Maybe I'm getting smarter. I don't know. Who knows? Wiser as we go here. So after I get done with this and they dry up, I will use a hot glue gun and glue them together around the edges and then stuff them like pillows. And I'm going to leave the edges on the outside. You could turn it inside if you would like. You could also use a machine and sew them shut if you would like. But I like just the plain rustic look. I think it looks good. It's more, in this case, some of them I'll, like I did Christmas trees, little stuffy Christmas trees one year, and kind of made them into an ornament. And those I went ahead and turned them inside out, like hemmed around the outside, and did it that way. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. Hello, Miriam. Are you guys feeling like fall yet in your neck of the woods? We had a couple of really, it felt like somebody put on a switch and just made it fall overnight. It was crazy. It was like cold. It was down in the 40s. We don't have much of colors. It kind of just goes directly to yellow. I don't think the cold is the whole story in making the colors. I think you have to have a level of moisture with it. So that's what makes the difference. Okay. On to our white here. And I do remember from last year, once I started painting, and this year, is that I don't know if it's because the brown background, but the white ends up needing to be a little bit darker, a little bit more heavy on the white paint than the other two colors, because as it dries, it just kind of sinks in and doesn't show up as much. Trying to get into the, there we go. That was, I always like to keep my brush nice and moist to keep it moving. And I'm kind of leaving the brush sit out, and it's warm out, so it is drying. in between. This is really dry in there. Oh, I am not. I'm going to make some candy corn stuffies with these. So I'm actually painting double the amount I'm going to have because I'm going to put it on both sides. And I can't remember even because I packed away last year's and I haven't gotten out my fall, my personal fall decorations yet. Because I made these last year and it was one of my favorites that I've done. I was so excited. But I only made I think I made one big one and two little ones just to test it out and then loved it so much, but never got the stuff out again to do it. So I've been sitting here. I am going to hot glue them, but you could do the sewing as well. Yeah, it definitely is up to you how you want to do it. The nice thing about painting the edges of the burlap is it does kind of seal it up and make it stiff and make it so that it doesn't unravel as easily. And then combine that with the hot gluing it. That definitely helps it to just seal the burlap. Otherwise, I would worry about the burlap, having rough edges because they do unravel, especially if you pull on them like I just did. And once I get done putting everything together, I will also go back and do a little bit of trimming on them as well. So just to kind of clean them up a little bit, even though I'm going for the rustic primitive look here. Oops, I just dumped water. All right, so we are done with, this is 3, 4, and 5 sides. I don't know how many that is. Oh, so I guess 3 altogether we've got done, back and front. And then I need to grab one more board and do the last 2 I got cut out here, and then the little ones. Okay. Where did I put my stack of little ones? Oh, there they are. Like I lost the little ones. Okay, we'll start doing, I've got these little ones cut out too. You could do a running stitch or a whip stitch, yes. Any of those things would absolutely work. That one kind of looks like clip that one. Looks like an egg, doesn't it? Well, and that's what I tried to do the same thing with, after I did these, and then I was going into the Christmas season, went right after that. And I tried to do some gingerbread men, and I wasn't as pleased with the way the gingerbread men looked like rough, but I liked these rough. You don't even have to purchase it. If I will go ahead, I will try to find it for you. I found it on Pinterest. I think it ended up being like a coloring page template that I just printed off on my printer. That's usually how I find it. So, but I'm happy to share that with you for sure. All right, let's see. All right, back to our yellow. Our saffron is what I'm using for that. I think that's all of mine. And the pattern had 2. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. The pattern had actually 2 of the little ones and 1 of the big one. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't as much of a fan of the little ones as I was the bigger ones. So that's just, I mean, you may decide you like them that way. You could make a medium size even. But for me, when I made them last time, I made them last year for the first time. I made 1 large one and 2 little ones, and I ended up really liking the big one, but not so much the little ones. But you can definitely, it does seal the burlap on the edges by painting it. Between the paint and, ooh, there's 2 here. Didn't realize that. Between the painting and the hot glue that I'm going to put on there, it's going to seal it just like it would if it was Generally, I would prefer doing the sewing, but I'm not going to, because especially for these little ones, I think once you put a seam around the outside edge, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get any stuffing in it. I don't know. You may disagree. That's okay. You could do these however you want. And you could do this bottom in chocolate, because that is my favorite one. You could do it in brown bark, or the new espresso would work really great. I got some yellow there. Put that on. You're exactly right. The small are harder to stuff. They don't end up, they just don't make as big of a, like in your decor, because these are just decorations, right? Um, in your decor, it doesn't even make as big of an impact. I just found that the bigger ones were a nicer size to kind of put into your fall decor. I suppose if you had like a smaller, like tiered tray, they would be really cute on the smaller size. The big ones would be a little big for that, but just my personal preference. But the pattern I used did have two of the small ones and one big one on the pattern, and so I'm just saying you don't have to do how many there are there. That's how I did it the first time, and I decided that was, I didn't need as many, and maybe I did it anyway here. I guess I made four big ones. I guess I made a lot of little ones, more than I was thinking I was making anyway. No, I got three. Four big ones and three little ones. I guess that's what I did. You never know. I made some from canvas. Oh yeah, that would be really good. That would be good too. You could really make them out of anything, really. You don't have to make them out of burlap. I really like burlap as a medium. I think it makes it more rustic. And like I said, I got it for 10 cents a bag. So whenever it comes to using inexpensive materials, definitely I always come back to my burlap, my handy dandy burlap, because it was cheap. I have lots of it. If I use it up, my husband gets happy. Happy husband, happy life. You know, just that much less. Although he pulled some out the other day, and I thought, I've gotten nowhere in getting, every time I see my stash of burlap, I've gotten nowhere. And he's like, do we really need a whole Rubbermaid full of these things? Yes. Yes, we do. Definitely. You can't get rid of it. I do, however, I do use the burlap bags as bags when I'm doing vendor events, like selling, like craft shows. I use them for my big pieces. Hi, Evelyn. I like that name. I do use them for bags for my larger pieces of art that I sell, or pictures and things, because it protects them, and it's nice big bag, and I've got it only cost me 10 cents. And whenever I bag them up for people are like, oh my gosh, you don't need to do that. And I'm like, oh, I can do it, it's fine. Like, these are actually cheaper than my brown bags. I like to bag things in. I'll buy a bunch of brown bags as well for the smaller items, but when I package up bigger items, I just put them in a burlap bag, and they're like, oh my goodness, that's so awesome. Are you sure? I'm like, yep, absolutely. My husband says yes, please give them away. So, all right, I think this is it. There's maybe a faster way to do this. I don't know. Maybe not. I would not probably spend the time. Maybe if you were using like a cleaner cloth, like burlap is pretty forgiving. Maybe you would want to do like, I got a brush piece in there. You might want to go ahead and use tape to tape them off to have straighter lines. I guess that's up to you. That maybe is why I like the burlap a little bit more. Like, it's okay as they dry, if they Get that cleaned up and shut up. Okay, now we'll go on to the orange. Time is it? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Where has my day gone? I've been having this, like, it's kind of a weird experience. I homeschool, so in the morning I have the girls here a lot. But in the afternoons, they both, at 1 o'clock, my husband takes them to the school to go to choir. And they have to, one right after the other. So once they stay for choir for each other and TA for the one that they're not in. And so with only having 2, because I'm down to 2 from my 5 that I originally had. And it's kind of a weird sensation after having 5 kids. And, it's been 2 years, 3 years. This is the 3rd year of having my middle child gone. But the girls have always had choir at different times. So they were leaving at different times. And now I've got aside from the days I teach piano, which is Tuesday and Wednesday, I've got my afternoons without any kids. It's kind of a weird thing. I'm enjoying it. We're doing some crafting. So I'm like, oh, I can, get this one last thing done. And, it's funny how fast it goes, though. And then right now we're in soccer season. So they are definitely, then they have soccer from 4 to 6 p.m. together. So they're together again for soccer. So it frees me up from 1 to 6. I have like 5 hours by myself. And then tonight I'll go off to play in, we have a community orchestra. Tonight I'll play in orchestra. And last week they asked me if I would, 2 weeks ago, I couldn't go last week. We had a soccer game during the band orchestra rehearsal. And then they kind of called and said, would you play trumpet? The trumpet player quit. Like all these years I've wanted to play trumpet, and they kept telling me, no, we don't want trumpet in the orchestra. It's too overwhelming, yada, yada, yada. And then a couple years ago, they let this local guy in to play trumpet. And so I was a little not happy, really. It's like, seriously, I've been trying to play trumpet for all these years. And then you let in, he's actually a trombone player. He's a music teacher. He was a local music teacher. I really love him, and he's a great musician. But I'm like, I'm a trumpet player. He's a trombone player. And you let him in after telling me for years and years and years we couldn't have it. So anyway, last year they called me and asked me if I would learn the bass, if you've been around at all and listened to me. So I taught myself the standing bass last year so I could play with the orchestra, because I'm like, after all these years, clearly they're never going to let me actually play in the orchestra, and we didn't have a band. So anyway, I'm like, sure, fine. I'll learn the standing bass, although, it's probably the one instrument I haven't. Oh, the orange is called Rust. I think we have it. I'm not sure for sure, but anyone will do. I was looking at Saucy too. It's a little more on the burgundy side, but still orange. You could use orange peel. Papaya would work great. It's just what I have. So I'm trying to, it's what I pulled out. The saffron is the yellow color I used. So anyway, that was my story. And then this summer, last year, I kind of went to the other guy that was playing trumpet, and I said, we really need to have a brass ensemble, because since the orchestra really doesn't want us playing, I know a whole bunch of brass players here. And we've got this great tuba player. So let's have a brass ensemble. So we talked about having a brass ensemble. So we started kind of talking about doing that. Well, then the orchestra this summer decided to take the summer off. And so we thought, this is the perfect opportunity. Let's do the brass ensemble. Well, the woodwinds wanted to come with us because there's quite a few woodwinds in the orchestra too. They let the woodwinds in because they play the violin and viola parts. Mine is gonna retire a guide fish. Oh, nice. Yeah, he hunts, he fishes. He I don't know. He has fly tying. He has a lot of different things we try to set him up to do, but he's a busy guy. He works full time. He's a mechanic. Some of his hobby is more practical. He loves outdoors and the woods and things, and we also have wood heat, so like all summer long and into the fall, it ends up being like all the time. And then once later fall comes, then he's hunting. So it seems super practical, but yeah, that's what he does. His hobby is doing the honey-do list for me. He does not own his own place. He works for a dealership. He's actually one of the top GM dealer or GM mechanics in the nation. He doesn't like to deal with people. So I was in band and we went to solo ensemble every year. Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, so anyway, I've been playing in this orchestra as a bass player for the last year. Well, one of my students, when we started this band up this summer, we did marches and things. Oh, who cares? Well, the pigs are gone, I'm sorry to say. So, we just did pigs for the summer. That's all we did for the fair. We didn't do it. We don't do them all the time. We just have a little dog. We live in town, so we don't have to. We just do the 4-H fair for the pigs, for the experience of doing it. That's all we have. We did do some chicken. My daughter has more of a outdoor, like she lives about 45 minutes away and lives more farmish, I say. And she raised meat chickens for us, and she has eggs, but I'm not close enough really. I get them when I go to her, but I'm not close enough to get the fresh eggs all the time, but I love them when I get them. But anyway, yeah, so we started this band up and we had a concert this, just before fall in August at our local park that just actually built a brand new pavilion. It was beautiful. So we did a concert, our first concert for the band this year. And then we got to this fall and a lot of the people in the band wanted to continue in the band. So we changed the date. So Thursday nights have always been traditionally orchestra. So we decided to do band in the next town over, about 20 minutes away on Tuesday nights. So I decided to do that on trumpet because I love to play trumpet more than bass. And I decided to stay with the orchestra on bass. But one of my students at school, she's been learning the bass, the standing bass too. And she's a piano student of mine. And so anyway, I said, and she's been playing her guitar at orchestra last year. Well, her guitar can't really hear it over the din of all the orchestral Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going out on my end. I'm sorry. Definitely, if it's buffering, it'll probably show it all once it's done. I think you can actually rewind to go back if you want to go back a little ways and see if it'll play, like give you a running start. So anyway, she came in with, I said, bring your standing bass this year instead of playing the guitar bass parts on the guitar. It's kind of weird. It's hard to hear the guitar anyway. So anyway, she brought her standing bass in for the last 2 weeks, and I was gone last week. And then they decided, well, we have a bass, maybe. And then the guy that played the trumpet quit altogether because he's directing the band. So we kind of split it up, but that's kind of what they've been. Ironically, the orchestra has not been wanting the brass at all and has made it very clear that they didn't want brass in the orchestra, didn't want all the instrumentation. They just wanted to have their orchestra. They wanted strings. There's not a lot of strings here because we don't have like a strings program. Nobody's teaching strings here. We don't have an orchestra in the schools. So I think it's difficult to find string players. It's hard to supply an orchestra. And we have a lot more people in band because all the schools do have a small band or have had small bands for a while. So anyway, that's the story. And so I got a message this last week. Do you want to play trumpet in the orchestra? I'm like, really? It's kind of ironic. That's all I've ever wanted to play. And now that I've learned a new instrument to play in the orchestra, now I replace myself. I replace myself with my student. So, and that's fine. They're going to ask. I think this is going to come full circle. Oh, very good. Yeah, my husband didn't play anything. That's the funny thing. He is the quintessential football player. He loves football. He loves to watch the football games. He loves sports. That's my husband. There we go. What do you guys think? They definitely look like candy, don't they? Cotton candy. I can talk. They definitely look like oh, that one does not. That's not good. I just dumped my white water all over that. Let's see if we can get that off. There we go. Hey, that worked. All I had to do is wipe it off with a wet wipe. It came off. Thankfully, I don't know if you saw that, but I dribbled white all over it. I always wanted to play percussion. Yeah, but not organized enough. And I started piano at the age of 7. So when I got to middle school, they wanted me on the piano, on the drums. And I didn't want to play drums. I wanted to play tuba, actually. And so I came in, they gave me a drum to play. And I said, no, I'm not playing drums. I will either play the tuba or the trumpet. And I'll come back next week. I can't believe I was that mouthy as a middle schooler. I wouldn't have been at home. I said, I'll come back next week and you can have either a trumpet or a tuba, hopefully a tuba or a trumpet. And I came back and it was a trumpet. And he was like, you are too little. You will blow over if you play a tuba in the parade, because they were using sousaphones back then. So it's kind of funny. All right. So here we are back to our original ones that we did. And hopefully I can match them up because I did cut them in 2. So they should kind of match up. I'm going to need some hot glue here. See if we can get it going. Oh, yeah, like electric bass does he play, like guitar? So they're the same like letter numbers on the electric bass and the standing bass, but a lot of different technique, because like we did Mozart for our spring concert and I had to do a lot of bowing. So the bowing is kind of the hard thing, the hard transition from guitar to the standing bass, but it was kind of fun and I loved it. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, you play really well. I'm like, well, a little bit of practice. Okay, so the other thing I want to do with this is actually I want to make some little tags to go on these. So while I'm kind of waiting for that to warm up and some of these to dry up, this was my second one. Is this one in? These two go together, maybe. Maybe we'll make some. What my idea was is to use fabric, and this part I might actually sew. So I'll just kind of show you what my plan is. I'm planning on using a little bit of fabric, and I've got all these little like sayings that are past transfers. I like the smallness of them. Kind of just grabbed them out. This one is probably my favorite, and I've used the most. It has like farm and fresh and fall candles, but you can see I've used fall and cozy blankets, it says, but I use cozy, pumpkins, home, autumn vibes. I just love all the little words. So I'm just gonna probably do just a few of the words on a piece of fabric. And then I will cut them out to be little tiny tags, and I'll probably sew them onto something else, like a backing of some sort, and just sew around, kind of do a sloppy sewing job on it. I don't want to, maybe I'll just get this ready so I can do it. I think I'm just going to take a piece of this. Where did I put my scissors? Hi, Amber. Good to see you. So anyway, I guess I replaced myself. And that's not like a horrible thing, I guess. I hope this is long enough. I just thought about putting that on there. I was just trying not to waste a whole bunch of fabric by cutting a big chunk off of my bigger chunk. All my chunky fabric here. The other thing you could use are like tags, like small tags. I do have one that I thought would be kind of like a nice size for it, but I was thinking like about this size for doing the tags, and I just want to put like the random words on them. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 7 words total. This is one right here I thought I could use too. It says so grateful. I'll probably just use the grateful, because it's kind of, I don't know, grateful, thankful, kind of along the same lines as a fall wordage. And so I'll just use, and this, when you're doing fabric, you don't even have to like fuzz it or anything. This is the first time. I'm going to kind of put it in the middle. I like it to be torn. I'm going to sew around it really rough. And then I know this is like lots of little things with an amp. He was in the choir. And, oh, yeah. I have that too. I got these little like rusty bells and pins. And I'm going to use those to put it onto my little thing. So those are my plans. And this, let's see if we're not cooking quite yet. Let's see if I can find there we go. My black. Yep, brand new black. I'm just going to use a little mini for this and not do the sew. So show. Maybe I won't even use the mini now that I'm started on that. I'm going to use my tool and just do plain black. And then, like I said, I'll probably take this part of it to my machine and use colored thread and just do a rough box around it or a little decorative stitch around it. Nothing complicated, just to make the tag look a little more frilly. Or if you don't have a machine, you could just there we go. Grateful. That one got kind of thick. You could go around it even like a slip stitch really loosely. Hello, Teresa. Okay, so that's going to be one little tag there. And I'm just going to move up the line here and just keep doing. We'll do a, whoops. Thanks one, I think. Giving myself a little bit of room so I can rip them without causing problems. This is an older transfer. This was kind of designed to go on paper. You could also make paper tags. You could use our chalk suede paper. It works really nice. Or you could use like a brown paper bag. That would work as well. You can even sew on brown paper bags. I don't know if you knew that, but you can sew paper. We always, in 4-H, we would always start out new sewers on the sewing machine on paper. Okay, that one turned out pretty good. That one again, a little bit on the thick side. And this, if you were concerned about it running, you could use ink for this as well. In fact, nope, I got blue ink out. Okay, we'll move that up a little bit. Definitely don't want to do the lettering on my, oh, I'm like, where did I go? We don't want to do it on the candy. Do I put fall candles or just fall? I think I'm just going to do fall. This will be a nice one for the little one. This just adds a little bit extra. You could use little buttons on it to attach it, or just hot glue buttons on it for a little decorative touch. I think I'll do another fall. And like I said, I plan on using these. Oops. As kind of like a bowl filler, but I'll be selling them at our fall festival. There we go. And I'm even making it a little bit messy, but that's going to be okay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do maybe autumn. I like that too. These are just the right size for these kinds of things. Just a little extra touch. Kind of, they're good. They're great. They were kind of designed when we came out with our tiered trays. So these words work really nice on the tiered trays and little things. And I don't know. I don't even know. I don't think they're really even available anymore. But never get rid of anything. You just don't know. See if we can get that arm turned out nice. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't count. I'm gonna blame iron deficiency here. I think my low iron. I can't count. I start counting. I was trying to count cookies this morning. I was making up cookie trays. I couldn't count cookies either. Oh, you'd think I could count cookies for sure. But like I said, or you could do, like, if you needed these letters, you could also do like stamp, letters from the stamp set. That would totally work. I'm going to do another farm. Words, I don't like to do more than twice unless they're going really good. But little ones just twice, because sometimes they leak underneath and it's just disappointing when you try to make a word and they turn out blurry. So twice is usually about it. And then I think we'll do cozy. That's a nice. So we got thanks, grateful, 2 falls, and autumn, 2 farms. And I'll do a cozy. Hopefully that will be, I suppose I could go all the way to the end here and just do some extras. I'll also use them when I get around to making some pumpkins. I was thinking I could make pumpkins this weekend, maybe. I don't know. I got to find whenever I get pumpkins for any reason, if I buy pumpkin to make pumpkin, that worked nice. Okay, so I think we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can also do this on ribbon. Do I have 8? I might just go ahead and do the whole word and then use a longer one on pumpkins. I save the pumpkin stems from my old pumpkins and let them dry out. And I have one sitting here, I think. And then I use those for the tops of my fabric pumpkins. I will do a running stitch on and make those out. And then, but I can use these as tags well for that. And like I said, I'm not concerned about them getting wet. If you're concerned about these getting wet, you could do them in ink, and then you'd be a little more safe with the water. But these are decorations, so hopefully nobody throws them in the laundry. I'm going to do pumpkins. See if I can maybe get on here twice. And that'll go on my pumpkins. I won't use those right away. Cute. Even if they're a little, they don't look super clean or they're not perfect, it's totally fine. Like seriously, totally fine. The second time I try to just go all the same way to push it down really good. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hey, if I wreck just one of these, it's going to be okay. We're going to survive it. All right. That off my finger before I make a mess. Okay, have a very good evening and dinner. Thank you so much. And of course, I will be putting pictures up too when I get these all done. So you get to see them all done. Cute pumpkins. All right, so we got those all. I had a couple of different things. I just was looking through, like this little pumpkin I know is really cute as well. You just never know. This one also had "'Tis the Season" on it, so I thought I'd use "'Tis the Season," but I guess I didn't use that today. Not today. So there is my little tags that we're going to use for this. I'll set that out to dry. And then I think we're ready to start. My goodness, it's noisy outside. Start getting these. I'm going to leave the bottom. Getting these glued together. Maybe. Oh, are you kidding? I think it's out of battery. Why am I not surprised? All that time I was waiting for the battery and then it died. I'm going to try a new one. See if we can get it to go. Battery is lovely until it's not working. Tell you're out. Tell you're out. Do you guys like candy corn? Yay or nay? I think you're usually a yay or a nay. There's never an in between with candy corns. What do you think? Think you love them or you hate them? If you are not, right now, if you place an order, if you join our Perks Club to get 30% off all of your orders for craft supplies, you will get a free chunky Christmas tree. And my order is coming tomorrow, you guys. Coming tomorrow. I'm so excited. But I am going to be, we'll see if I have time. I am going to be doing in-home caregiving this weekend. All right, so this is put together. I'm going to give that a hot second here to kind of dry up because I know that if you start doing that while it's hot, it's not gonna work. I'm leaving the bottom. I'm just going around the edges here to glue it up. I'm gonna leave it rough, and I probably will go in and do a little bit of like trimming to make sure it looks nice. Looks nice but rustic. Speaking of ironic, right? Nice but rustic. I wasn't thinking too hard about making sure that I know. Oh, I love candy corn. My favorite candy corn is the chocolate bottoms. They have to be the chocolate bottoms. Some people say they taste the same. My husband says they don't taste any different, but I believe they do To me, they taste like chocolate. And sometimes I go back, when I go back to do this, like this one, I probably painted on the same side as I cut, so it's a little off. So that for sure I'll be cutting to fix it. And I'm just leaving the bottom open, and then once I get it stuffed, I will just go ahead and glue the bottom up. This is super easy, non-sewing project. But you could sew it if you wanted, stitch it or running stitch. The thing with burlap is, you know, the stitching, burlap is kind of hard on your machine, to be honest. It's not fun to sew. And running stitch, you'd have, I don't know. I don't know that it would, because you paint it, it should stay together. Okay. Let's do this one and this one. As long as we're on a roll here. I like candy corn too, but I am kind of picky. I don't like those candy pumpkins. I don't like those. My hot glue is pretty hot here, so I think I can make it all the way around without. And I maybe mixed up my pairs. I cut twos together, but I didn't really keep them separate. So they may not be exactly a matchup, but that's okay. They're rustic, primitive candy corns. I love all the ideas. I would love it if I could, you know, like the wood block Christmas trees into candy. I love candy corns. I also love the pumpkins. So stay tuned. We'll be doing pumpkins. And I found, I have some wood leaves. I'm going to have to do those. We don't have them available anymore, but I'm going to have to do it. I hope this is the one that goes with this one, because that one looks kind of wonky. The small ones are a little more difficult. I won't lie about that. And you could even put like the stuffing in there and then glue around it. It's okay if the stuffing's coming out. I've seen people do that with stuffies too, and they look cute as can be. I don't know which ones go together here. That one looks a little fatter here. Okay, this one's skinny, that one's fat. It's okay that they're not the same, I think. I think it makes it more fun, makes it more unique, personalized type of thing. When they're... And fabric usually, like, you can really make, like, I see people making real pillows with hot glue and they don't come apart. And I always think, oh, just sew it. But hot glue usually sticks with fabric pretty solid. So if you don't have to feel bad using hot glue, I don't think. In this case, especially with this. Okay, so we'll start stuffing these together. Ooh, is that my hubby already? Oh, yeah. He's home a little early. He's got to fix the truck. Okay, so remember I said I like to use old bags inside as stuffing, but a lot of times they have like that red, so I don't want the red showing through, so I just kind of invert it on itself. And have you ever noticed like stuffies sometimes are like crinkly, you know, like dog toys and stuff? Uh-oh. This is serious. He's got... I like them because it has like a sound. So I'll do a little bit of each. I'll use some... I don't even know where this stuffing came from. I think I recycled the pillow. It wasn't like an old one or anything. I don't know what happened. But it was totally clean stuffing, like inside of the inside of another one. Like it was several. And then you'll find that, you know, the hot gluing wasn't perfect sometimes. And so you just stick a little hot glue in there. Get that sealed up carefully, making sure not to burn yourself. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh. Forgot how much I love these things. I do know that, like, you probably don't want the stuffing to be like near where you're gonna hot glue, because it will, or the plastic bag, you kind of want to make sure that the last thing you see in your candy corn is the polyester batting, because then you don't burn it. It won't melt. But other than that, there's really nothing. Our truck, the light went off on our airbag. My daughter's taking it to get her driver's license. And they said, you can't have any lights on in the truck to take it. Right, the bed pillows. Yep. I don't remember where this came from. I have like this whole bag of it. I don't exactly know where it came from, but it's been lasting me forever. I can tell you that. And we're going to try to get this together without burning our fingers. That's the key. Hot. I often use the scissors to press it. Try not to get it glued down to the cardboard. Oh, I don't know if you saw my video yesterday when I was trying to do I was doing the gator hide, the waterproofing on my stool. And I just did it right on one of these pieces of cardboards. Warning to self and to you, make sure that you put it, like prop it up on something underneath it, because it's stuck to that cardboard. And then I had cardboard stuck to my chair. Okay, come on, stick together, please. And so you kind of end up like getting these little pieces. I'll cut those. Oh, and I forgot to tell you too, the other thing that, remember I said keep all those scraps of the burlap, that we're going to use inside it. That can be used as stuffing too. So I just go around and kind of trim it up so it looks like this. Rough, but not, rough, but not rough. Make sure I get all the edges. We don't want to have any open edges. That was a really bad hot gluer here. Burlap it does end up like missing spots because it's so holy. Oh, that's hot. Hot, hot, hot. This hot glue gun is really hot. Don't burn yourself. Okay, so then just to give you an idea, you could leave these just like they are. And I like the tags to be ripped. Oof, my scissors have been cutting. I've been cutting too many floral things with the metal in it. I like to rip them up so they have like a raggedy edge. I don't want to have that edge on it. And that can just go right in and be used as stuffing. Any little extra scraps. So what I'll do is I'll probably, sew around that a couple times and probably put it on like a little bit of batting. Hi, Shay. Is it Shay, or is that how you say your name? Good to see you. Yeah, the Walmart pillows, I have heard that. For sure. I happen to have all this, I don't know, different projects I've gotten different. I'm covered in burlap. I'm not going to lie. So then what I'm going to do, just to give you an idea, is I've got these little rusty bells and pins. And I'm going to use, which way is up? I'm going to use the pins to pin. They're all different sizes. Use the pin to pin a little bell and the tag onto it, just as a little extra. And you could put whatever little ephemera you want to on there, whatever works. I'm not sure if that's really, it's not very rusty. Let me just say that. It just got everything dirty is all it did. And that's okay too. You could go around, you could just ink the edges. Oops. This might be stuck. And put it on however you want. I think last year it's not a great pin. I'm not going to lie. It's not good. It's not sticking. Oh, there it is. I got it. The other thing you can do is take a little bit of ribbon, or you could take, like I like to do the burlap too, or the twine, and just put a piece of twine around it. That could be on there as well. So just to give you some ideas on how to kind of decorate these up, the little bowl fillers or shelf sitters or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. I kind of think it looks a little more rustic if it's just a knot instead of a bow. Oop. He's trying to clear the code. Thankfully, he's a mechanic. I don't know what we would have done if he wasn't a mechanic. It would have been a mess. So there you go. Just to give you an idea of how that will look. That's a little too long. There it is. Isn't that cute? Just a little something something there. You can put as much or as little on it as you want. Just cute. It's okay. It's not perfect, but cute. What do you guys think? You could also, oh yeah. And this is hot. I have to leave it. It always is dripping, and it's smoking. Isn't that cute? So to give you, same thing with the little ones, just a little extra. I think you don't have to put the jingle bell on there. You can put the jingle bell on there. You could just use, I think maybe on the little ones, I could also use a little button, make it a little bit like that. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? We're just making some little stuffies. Where did I put that? I had a bunch of that burlap. That looks like a really big bag. I just like the sound of the bags on the inside, so I do try to put a bag in each one. I don't even know if I can get it in here. Maybe not. Clean bags, of course. I don't know. I don't know. It's exactly what you have in all your stuff in the stores anyway. Warning, the dogs do like these because they are crunchy. And I am finding like little holes. It's okay. Just glue it together. Glue it down. It's all good. I was talking too much. That's what. All right. And that is really it. It did take me a while because it's a little bit of a, extra, like, I just burned my finger. Did you feel that? I know when I watch people and they burn themselves, it's like I can feel it because it happens to me all the time. And this one, maybe it was a little too heavy with that glue. And then you could leave these little things, but I kind of like them trimmed up a little bit. They don't have to be perfect. But it is nice to kind of give it a little, you can even, if you, like I was getting them on there a little bit, weird. And so this one, I would use one of those smaller words that I did, like the fall. To tear them, you just start it with the scissors. But now I have like a whole line of these. And this might even be too big, so I think I'm going to take it down a little bit and just do a little bit smaller. Oops. There we go. Guess I could have done those sideways. And then this, I probably would just do just the pin. These little tiny pins. A rusty pin. And I just got those on Amazon. If you want anything from this, just let me know. Go ahead and either message me or put corn. If you want more information about getting the supplies to make these, isn't this the cutest? Just let me know and I will get that to you. Isn't that the cutest? Like simple, but cute. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been kind of a long little thing. I guess I have been for about an hour and a half. I apologize for that, but it's all here. I didn't, there's no editing or anything. We got our little candy corns made up, and I'll be finishing these up. Stay tuned for all the pictures and the finish up of them. Aren't they the cutest? I love them. All right, well, have a great, blessed evening and keep on crafting.